have, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why. For some reason I was getting confused when I was reading it.
Yeah, chapter 5, page 61. It's been a while since I did the notes for it, but I read through them last week, and I really didn't get anything, so I was like, oh crap, I'm gonna be in trouble when it comes time on Tuesday, right? But then today when I went through it, I was like overwhelmed.
Oh really?
So, yeah.
Oh.
But the other thing too is, I heard Barb's testimony, you know, Julia Laware's mom.
Yeah.
Wednesday night when we had church,
Mm-hmm.
she said, a lot of people have this book and are reading it, they're just not coming to class. And she said that she never understood that God was right here. And she got that revelation at like 2 in the morning and was freaking out and couldn't sleep the rest of the night. And she wanted to call Patty. Pastor Patty said, call me next time, call me. But she was telling us, and she was getting emotional and whatnot. There's crap on the glasses, so there is. She was getting emotional and whatnot, and it just really touched me how, like, you know, certain things will just stick out to you certain times. Like, you could hear the same song 100 times, and then just one time, the Holy Spirit just moves on it or whatever. So anyways, yeah. The other class started last night.
How'd it go?
I don't like your mom being in the room.
Does it make you feel like...
It's because I talk about her so much in the class.
Yeah.
It makes it really difficult.
Yeah.
Like I today was thinking, I forgot to tell them this, I forgot to tell them this. I'm like, and I know it's because she was sitting right here, so I don't know how I'm gonna overcome this issue. But it really bothered me. Like it was just, I don't even know how to put it into words. And I told her, I said, I'm not gonna lie, you being here is really messing with me. Like once I would get going, I was fine, I wasn't thinking about her being there, but every time I would stop and tell a story or something and then go to get back on track, I would again realize she was here. So like right in my notes where it says, well, Pastor Lori says this is why we have a choice, and I'm like, it's kind of hard to be like, Pastor Lori says this when Pastor Lori's sitting right there.
Yeah.
It's so weird. It's like saying to you, Pastor Lori, instead of saying your mom.
Yeah.
It just doesn't jive in my brain. So that was definitely...
You'll get used to it by week 9.
I better get used to it before that. There's a lot of other people who need that class, so... Anyways.
Did everybody show up?
Yeah.
That's good. Greg?
Yeah.
You picked him up?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, first. Yeah, first. Yep.
Was he ready to go?
No.
I told you.
I had to go inside and wait for him.
I told you. I told you we wouldn't be ready.
He's usually like,
We are recording.
It's okay, he knows.
He probably wouldn't listen, so you never know, because he can't see. The wrong video is trying to listen to the other class and listen to this one and hear us talking about it. Anyways, yeah, no, he wasn't ready on time, but I gave myself enough leeway, because if I get there at 5:20, then I have 20 minutes to get back here, so that gives him like 20 minutes before I would be ready.
that's what you need.
I had to wait for him in the house, then we had to walk over and get the phone from Hannah. I'm like, oh Lord, help me. But I think we got here at 1:45, so yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, definitely. And of course the whole time after class, who's
Okay.
anyways,
Oh, I think I know.
yeah,
I think I know.
yeah, we'll talk about that after. Anyways,
Yeah, because I'm lost.
okay, page 61. Universal presence. So that's exactly what this chapter is about. Like, I forget that, like, he kind of has a theme each chapter. So once I heard what Barb had said about it, so that made me kind of look at it a little differently. And I remembered the story, so I knew what she was talking about, but it just didn't click with me till today. So anyways, the initial verse is, whither shall I go from thy spirit, or whither shall I flee from thy presence? The only thing I found exciting about any of the words in that verse is presence means face.
Oh.
So, and whither, let's get rid of the weird language. Where shall I go? David's saying, where can I go to get away from your spirit? Where can I go to get away from your face? And so David is considering the truth that God is everywhere. So that's why Tozer used this verse to open the chapter, because David's considering God is present everywhere. There's no corner or dimension of the universe hidden from him. Heaven isn't too high and hell isn't too low. God is everywhere. Brings us to page 62. I'm sure you guys don't have anything so far out of that little bit, do you?
Nope.
No, I was surprised that presence meant face though.
Yes. I mean, presence is good enough word on its own, but when you mean that much of the presence that you're in his face.
Yeah.
Because to be in someone's face, you have to be like even closer than we are.
Yeah.
We're not in our face here. So that adds a whole element of the actual, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And it should excite you because of everything. I wasn't here past Sunday, and I don't even want to talk about it. I'm so mad about it right now. And I'm waiting on the recording, and if another person talks to me about how amazing Sunday was,
Well, I won't say anything then.
With this past Sunday?
yes.
With what?
With praise
Everyone
worship.
saying how amazing church was Sunday.
Yeah.
All the people's testimonies, Stacy's telling me.
Oh yeah, it was
Sam and Stacy were so touched by what Caleb had to say, Brown, and then Caleb rapped, and that's
Yeah.
the big news
Yeah.
of the Sunday.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hearing. Yeah. I'm
Sorry, I get
Thanks,
flowing on
thanks,
Sunday. I'm just like,
sure. Glad you guys all had a good time.
yeah, you definitely missed it.
Anyways, shut up. The first 2 weeks, she was talking about setting our gaze upon him. This is the year of the eternal gaze.
Yeah.
And to really be gazing into someone's eyes, you would have to be in their face. So that excited me about this. So then next page, another thing that stuck out was God dwells in his creation and is everywhere, indivisibly present in all his works. This is the doctrine of the divine presence. So now I'm learning, I didn't know this even, that this is actually a doctrine, that there's divine presence everywhere. I just thought that was understood. Like when we learn, like he's omnipresent, he's omniscient, we learn that he's everywhere. So like, I just think I always thought that was a given. I didn't realize there was a whole doctrine about it. Like we had to make up a rule about it because people are so far from it. But then once I read further in this chapter, I understand why they probably had to have this whole conversation about this, because it's hard for the human brain to grasp.
Mhm.
So anyways, my numbers are going to be off from your guys's because I just, when I fix them up, I take things out, and so my numbers aren't going to match your guys's.
Okay.
It simply means that God is here. Wherever we are, God is here. So that's what the doctrine of the divine presence is. God is here. God is everywhere. No point is nearer to God than any other point. So you can't be like, because I'm in the Ohio, I'm closer to God, or because I'm in an airplane, I'm closer to God.
Mhm.
Like none of that. It doesn't work that way. This jumps us clear to page 63. Anything so far? You guys want to chime in?
No.
These truths believed by every instructed Christian. It remains for us to think of them, pray over them until they begin to glow in us. So Tozer's pausing for a moment and saying, not only do you just need to understand this or believe this, you should think on it and pray over it. So now when you start thinking on it and pray over it, that's when you get a little further revelation. If I send it up into heaven, thou art there. If I make my bed in hell, behold, thou art there. If I take the wings of the morning and dwell in the uppermost parts of the sea, even there shall thy hand lead me, thy right hand shall hold me. Psalms 139, 8-10. So then this goes through talking about, I think I got a lot of that from Enduring Word. So this is David talking in this verse, and it kind of is a spin-off from the other verse. because that was 139:7. This is 139:8 through 10, so it's right after the verse that he started the chapter with. And David's just really expounding on this, and he's basically saying, is there any way I can go, anywhere I can go that God wouldn't be there? And he's thinking it through. He's taking time to think it through and pray about it and probably sing about it, just because he was was very much heavily in music. So, and then it's explaining, for people who care about little details like this hell he's talking about, it may not be the same like lake of fire or whatever that we normally hear about, but it's the word Sheol here, which normally has the sense of grave or afterlife. But they're saying even though he didn't use the specific word for hell, the sense would be the same. So even in hell, God will be present, because there's no place where God cannot be. Yet God's presence in hell will radiate none of his love and grace, only his righteous judgment. I found that interesting, because a lot of people say the reason why it's hell is because God's not there. Have you ever heard that?
Yeah.
No, I've never heard that. No.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah.
So I found that interesting. Now remember,
I will say though that I did not know. I mean, I never thought of it as God being there though.
yeah,
I never thought of
Yeah.
that.
and
Here, hold on. I gotta go correct the person.
and it doesn't. I always heard it was hell because God wasn't there, and that's why it was hell. But now it's saying it's hell because it doesn't have his love and grace, but it only has his righteous judgment. So I don't know. That might be a point that I want to like talk to your mom about a little further.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe next week I'll pop back in. I just didn't have time to call her today. But maybe because I thought about this when I read it earlier, but maybe next week I'll pop back in with a little extra note on that. Because I want to know what her take is to make sure that, because remember, enduring word is theologians or pastors or people, just like Dakes, who did all the study notes in that Bible, who did all this.
Yeah.
Those are just his, he's still a person. So this enduring word is still a person, so it could possibly be wrong. I haven't found it yet to be wrong.
Yeah.
Or if there's differing opinions, it'll say both. But this one, there wasn't a differing opinion. So
Are you still talking about this?
David in the house, yes,
Yeah.
about God.
Oh, okay.
I just want to double check with Pastor Lori, because what I always thought doesn't mean that it was right just because I always thought that, but I want to make sure that whoever wrote this point, I can't remember,
only his
is
righteous.
right. Yeah.
So if you like, so I just read back through it again, and it says, yet God's presence in hell will radiate none of his love and grace. So I take that as he will not show his love and grace. He's only going to show his righteous judgment, which his righteous judgment would be you're in hell because you were not
Right. You
following
didn't choose
him.
Your
Yeah.
heart is your heart.
So yeah, I'm curious to what Lori says.
Yeah, I'm curious to
'cause-
know if hell is where he isn't, or if this is accurate. So I could be corrected. We could be corrected on this point, but I still kept it in here. I didn't take it out because I wanted us to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
The next point, David was so assured of the constant presence of God's hand of love and care that not even death in the grave could separate him from God's love. As Paul would later write in Romans, in fact, God's right hand, his hand of skill and strength, would hold David no matter what may come. So, David's beating a dead horse here. He's basically going over and over and over it. But that's what Tozer said. You need to think and pray about this until it glows inside of you. So, and he knew that God's being and God's seeing are the same. That seeing presence had been with him before he was ever born, watching the mystery of unfolding life. This is another interesting concept. God's being and God's seeing are the same. I don't even know if I can wrap my brain around that. The seeing presence. So his presence is always with you, watching the mystery of your life unfold. Oh, well, obviously, if he's with you, he's seeing. Is it that simple?
Yeah.
Is that what he's saying? Okay. Okay, next point. But will God indeed dwell in the earth? Behold, the heaven and the heaven of heavens cannot contain thee. How much less this house that I have builded? Terrible language.
I know that bothered me when I was reading
bothers me
it.
so much, I thought that I typo, so I had to go
It
check.
says building.
I know, I was like, I thought I typoed.
I definitely noticed that when reading it.
1 Kings 8:27, Solomon said this. I didn't really bother to look up all that, 'cause it's just literally repeating everything David just said. Now this next one I did look up because this brings me back to remembering Donut Man, or him that we live, and move, and do you remember it, Kayla?
I remember the Donut Man. I don't know if I remember.
There was a whole song on this verse, for him we live and move and have our being. It says, he be not far from every one of us, for in him we live and move and have our being. Acts 17:27-28. Paul said this. So I looked up the words. Far meant separated. Live got me excited because it's Zeo, which remember,
Yeah,
Zoe,
Yeah.
and it literally means pretty much the same thing. I think I forget what the difference is, but it's not much of a difference. But it's alive with God's life. I think Zoe is just literally God's life.
Yeah.
And this is saying alive with God's life, so it's putting action to it. So, and then move. You move. Okay. I don't even know why I bothered to write that one on there, but whatever. I think I just wanted to put another color in. But separated, he be not separated from us, for in him we are alive with God's life. Okay, pretty cool. If God is present at every point in space, if we cannot go where he is not, cannot even conceive of a place where he is not, why then has not that presence become the one universally celebrated fact of the world? Okay, let's say this question in plain English. If God's everywhere, every point in space, there's nowhere we can go that he's not, we can't even conceive of a place that he's not, then why isn't his presence known by everybody and celebrated?
See, these were the kind of things that were confusing me.
Yeah.
Like this exact one right here would confuse
Well,
me.
because
It's the way he says it.
he is not, instead of just saying.
Yeah, it's the way that he says it.
Instead of
that
just saying
confuses
it
me.
the way it is, yes. He has to say it in this poetic way.
Yeah.
But okay, so if God's everywhere, then why doesn't everyone recognize this? Why do only some people recognize this? That's what he's asking.
Mm.
We're about to turn the page. Do you guys have any other thoughts?
I mean, the only thing that I can think of is, so I heard a thing today about how the devil, how basically like on TV and stuff, they're slowly planting seeds of like the devil like being this like guy figure like with the red and the horns, and then like there's a show called Lucifer and the guy's just like a casual like normal guy, but they said like really like he's the angel of light, yeah, and that what happens is like the angel of light might have appeared to somebody, and then that's how like another religion was formed, because that person thought that was truly an angel giving them a sign, but really like they were misconceived basically by that, and then that's how like other religions were formed, and that's how it started to create the separation between. So like when it asks the questions, why then has not that presence became the one universally celebrated fact of the world? That's just kind of what came to my mind with that, is like because like the devil appeared to certain people who like formed these religions over the years, and like
this is why it's so important to know him and his voice.
yeah,
Because the devil could come to you and trick you if you don't really know who God is. And like there's this whole conspiracy theory out there. Oh my gosh, I hope I don't screw this up. It's called Bluebeam, Project Bluebeam.
oh yeah, well, they're gonna fake the second
And they apparently can control what's in the sky, what we see.
Yeah.
And it's like a projector or whatever. And they're gonna project this second coming of Jesus, but it's really not gonna be Jesus. But the people that really don't know God and don't know his voice are gonna be fooled. They're gonna think it's Jesus. And it's going to look like and fit the bill for every religion, from what I heard from this theory. So when I read about that, I thought, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm better know. This is when I started really getting serious. This was literally within 6 months before Pastor Lori gave me the Becoming Who You Are curriculum, and I started getting serious with God, because I was like, how am I gonna know if that's really God? And then people I love aren't gonna know, and I need to be able to tell them.
Right.
And so I need to know who, I need to be able to hear God clearly.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, what you're saying is exactly true.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just a conspiracy theory, but I think by now some of those things they aren't gonna do because we've done all figured it out and heard about it so much, but, I mean, it's scary. And we should know this by COVID. Satan isn't going to show up as something evil always. He's sometimes going to show up like something we want very much.
Yeah.
And get us off track.
Yeah.
So it's not, if you don't have it, like, I don't know your background, but if you don't have a problem with drugs, Satan's not going to come and entice you with drugs.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Because you don't have a problem with drugs. So what good's that going to do to entice you with drugs?
Yep.
You don't have addiction, you don't have a stronghold, you don't have anything leading you back there. He's not going to entice you with that. He's going to entice you with what, you know what I'm saying? Like, give this example. Back in the day when I went through my divorce from Boy's dad, a bunch of people, because I was best friends with Darla, a bunch of people came up to me, like in a matter of 2 months' time, me and Darla saying we shouldn't, we're getting too close, that I had lesbian tendencies or whatever. And I was so mad. I was like, why are you saying that about me? I don't have lesbian tendencies. She's my best friend. That has nothing to do with that. And like nothing ever happened there, but I'm just saying, but then like look what happened. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So sometimes there's a little bit of truth to what someone tells you, and sometimes you're gonna be handed, like I thought that relationship was gonna be safe because it was with a girl, she would never cheat on me. Like, I was gonna be safe, I was never gonna get hurt, and I ended up getting hurt just as bad as all the others.
Yeah.
So, I think, sometimes Satan knows something you don't wanna face the truth about. And then he's gonna entice you with that very thing that you have a hook in your soul. I didn't know I had a hook in my soul, I didn't know I had a stronghold, back to when I was a kid, things that happened. So, now, that was all part of that sexual abuse stronghold where I thought I would be safer with a girl because men had always abused me. You know what I'm saying? So like it was so messed, the mentality was so messed up. So again, I'm getting off on a tangent, but you guys get what we're saying here. So, okay, so then the next verse he brings up is, surely the Lord is in this place, and I know it now. And this is Jacob talking in Genesis 28:16. And in that sentence, Jacob was sensing the presence of the Lord. If he thought that God was in some places but not others, he was wrong. I'm pretty sure, I didn't actually go look it up, but I'm pretty sure that's where he wrestled with God, and he called it. That's what he called Bethel, right? Where he wrestled with God, I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
And
We just read that to Bryson the other day.
And so that's what he was saying, I'm sensing the presence of the Lord is here. So was he saying that because he didn't realize the presence of the Lord was in other places? Maybe he was because it was Jacob, but I'm saying he should have known, they're saying he should have known he was everywhere. And they bring up the same verse we already went over. The next point, the presence and the manifestation of the presence are not the same. This one kind of threw me for a minute too. There can be one without the other. God is here when we are wholly unaware of it. He is manifest only when and as we are aware of his presence. So, on our part, there must be surrender to the Spirit of God. For his work, it is to show us the Father and the Son. If we cooperate with him in loving obedience, God will manifest himself to us. And that manifestation will be the difference between a nominal Christian life and a life radiant with the light of his face. So again, we brought up the face. I like that.
So what does it mean to manifest? What
It
does that
means
mean?
it's here.
Yeah.
Kaylin is manifest, your presence is manifest to me right now.
Oh, okay.
Because you're here.
Okay.
Well, and we're human, so that's all we can be is manifest.
Yeah.
But, but the fact that I didn't really think about it separating like that, and I'm really not sure what the big deal is about the differences, other than we have to be aware that he's here, And we have to do something. We have to surrender. We have to be obedient for him to manifest. So, yep, that's next. So, I'll bring it up when I go to the next thing. So then it brings up Exodus, and the Lord descended in the cloud and stood with him there and proclaimed the name of the Lord. And it's Exodus 34:5. This is Moses. The cloud mentioned was no doubt the cloud of glory known as the Shekinah. I've heard that all the time being a Christian, people talking about Shekinah glory. This cloud is mentioned many times in the Bible. If you remember Shirley, she used to talk about it a lot, Shekinah glory. And she would always say, and the Shekinah glory would fall back in the day, and people were getting healed, and this, that, and the other. And then, like, we would hear people talk about it, like back when we went to your dad's church. I would anyways hear people talk about it. But okay, so it's talked about when it covered Mount Sinai, when it went with Israel by day, so that would be when they were in the wilderness, the children of Israel. It stood at the tent of Moses. It filled Solomon's temple. It overshadowed Mary at the conception of Jesus. It was present at the transfiguration of Jesus. It will be present at the return of Jesus. In some way, God appeared to Moses in the cloud at Sinai. This was what Moses asked for when he said, "Please show me your glory." Now, the reason why I have proclaimed the name of the Lord in yellow and this in yellow is so I would remember to connect this. So where it said, proclaim the name of the Lord in Exodus 35:4, it means that God revealed his character to Moses. So it was more than God stood on this mountain and was like, I am God, this is my name, or whatever fancy name he used at the time, because he has all different names, you know. He didn't stand there and proclaim his own name. So it makes more sense when you understand. It means that God revealed his character to Moses. So who you are in your name, remember like what I told you about my name. Like that's who I am. Like when someone says Sonia K. Grind, Sonia Grind, everybody knows they're talking about me, because that's my name. But that name says a whole lot. If you know me, then you know a whole lot of different things just by somebody saying my name. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's why, in the weird way the Bible's worded it in some places, proclaim the name of the Lord means God revealed his character to Moses. So when his name was said, it revealed who he was. The specific aspects of his character are mentioned in this passage, yet this was far more than a lecture on the nature of God. Moses experienced the character of God in a dramatic way. He not only made a verbal proclamation of his nature, but he revealed his very self to Moses so that the skin of Moses' face shone with supernatural light. So this is what was striking me. Okay, so we're talking about the manifest presence of God, and then we go into talking about Moses and this Shekinah glory, right? And everything we've been talking about since the first of the year about putting our gaze on Jesus. Tina wrote that song. Even if you guys remember, second or third week when God was telling me to keep my eyes on him, that was the tool I needed to use to not worry so much about the problem or the issue or the illness or whatever. So everything we've been hearing is, and then that song, first thing first, keep the first thing first. So everything is like coming around this thing. And I'm like, can you imagine? I've had people tell me this, especially in the last 3.5 years, especially when I first started changing. I heard it even more, but it still happens. People will say to me, you have a glow about you. You're glowing, you're so beautiful, you're glowing, this, that, and the other. And I was like, it's my new foundation. So I bought that Perfect Match stuff from El Maquillage or whatever that's on Facebook.
I don't even know what that is. I don't wear foundation. I don't even know what that is.
I don't have it on right now, I just have powder, but anyway, it's expensive, so I only wear it like on Sundays.
No, don't pay attention on Sunday. I'll tell you, you're glowing.
No, you're glowing. No, but anyways, they were saying it before I had the foundation. But it it was kind of like, okay, I don't know why people are saying this because I can't see my own face, so I don't know what they're seeing, what they're looking at. But now I understand because whatever God's doing in me is showing in my face, so they're seeing it. Now, this is just a tiny bit though of what like it would really be like if God's glory would fall. If like all of us were at home and in our lives on our own, getting before God to where He reveals His character to us, and then we come together and we worship, and then the Shekinah glory falls, and then it's just gonna be like everyone's gonna look like they have that foundation.
Sorry, I just got like I gotta write this down in my phone because it's an idea for a song. I just write it in my phone real quick.
What are you writing in there?
She takes notes like.
If something comes to my mind for like
Oh,
a word
We'll write it down
for a
first,
song,
yeah.
I gotta put it in my phone so that I don't forget. I gotta find.
Oh, for like lyrics of a song?
Mhm.
I don't know my notepads for that, but sorry. You can keep going. I'm listening.
No, because I want to know what you're writing.
There's a lot. I think she has like 3 or 4. songs.
No, I mean, what just struck you out of that you're writing?
Oh, the glory falling on your face.
Yeah.
So I had to write it down.
Okay. All right, so page 65, you guys got anything?
Nope.
Anything?
Well, so I just want a little more clarification.
Okay,
So
I'll try.
The presence and the manifestation of the presence are not the same. So, like, when I think of that, I think, like it's one thing to be in His presence, but it's another thing to, like, manifest of the I think of it like, yes, truly 2 different things, but I feel like it's, like, steps. Like, as you become closer to Him and you understand His character, then you can manifest His presence. Am I wrong on that? Or am I right? Like, is that what this is trying to say in this?
I think kind of, but I think the other part is like, for example, you could be grooming a dog and his presence wouldn't be manifest, but his presence would be there with you. His presence would be there with you, but then let's say you're listening to Christian music and all of a sudden the Holy Spirit highlights a song, and then His manifest presence is there because you've acknowledged He's there.
Right, yeah.
Is that like at the point where you can feel Him?
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. You have to understand His presence first before you can.
Yeah, so there's probably a
Manifest
lot
His
of
presence.
people, well, I mean, there is a lot of people who have His presence but don't have the manifestation of His presence. They don't know it's there.
Right, or fully recognize it, like
Yes.
how, like, understand. Yes. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, because he's saying that the manifestation of the presence is the difference between a regular Christian life and a life radiant with the light of His face. And that's what happened to Moses.
Yep.
He had supernatural light shining off of his face. I think this coming up part will help you understand too. When we sing or say, "Draw me nearer, O God," we are not thinking of the nearness of a place, but the nearness of a relationship. Why does God manifest His presence to some, and then multitudes of others struggle along in the half-light of the imperfect Christian experience? Of course, the will of God is the same for all. He has no favorites within His household. All He has ever done for any of His children, He will do for all of His children. The difference lies not with God, but with us. So we have a choice, we have free will. So yeah, it's all about you recognizing that His presence is there.
Yep.
You know, didn't your grandma used to sing some weird song that your mom sings too, and she always makes fun of your grandma for singing it off key, about I'm doing the angel's work, I'm doing the Lord's work, while you're sleeping and all this stuff or
I
whatever.
don't know.
Wow.
Probably.
You haven't came enough on Wednesday nights to have your mom's.
Yeah, I can't because we have
grandma like that.
Easton.
But she used to say your grandma sing this song as she'd do all her housework and whatever. And so she was recognizing that God's presence was there at all times. But yeah, I'm definitely not recognizing God's presence there when I'm sweeping the floor or something like that. Not unless a certain song comes on and catches me or whatever.
I do because I literally just listen to like worship music the whole time I clean the house.
Well, I mean, I have worship music on a lot in my house because kids start coming at 5 a.m. and it plays till 8
Mm-hmm.
because they go back to sleep and then till they get up. So I got all that worship music. Then all of nap is another 3 hours. So 6 hours a day worship music's playing in my house.
Yeah,
And then upstairs it's always playing 24/7.
yeah.
So, well, it's Caleb.
I
Plus
was
I have a radio.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
I like
The kids don't have
listening
TVs, so it's only a radio
to.
playing upstairs. Cheap little clock radios going in both rooms. So yeah, there's always music playing in my house. I had to do that back when there was all the crap coming in and out of my house because I had to somehow. But now, so yeah, I may hear a song a million times and then all of a sudden it'll just strike me one day and I'll be like, what the heck is this song? Like this one, that Back to Life one, I think I sent it to you. The enemy thought he had me, but Jesus said you're mine. Oh my gosh, I freaking love the end of that. It just gets me every time. I start screaming it. Well, not if they're napping, but I'll just scream it without sound. Anyways, yeah, I get stuck on a song for a while too.
I do too.
And I know if I always start with one of Tina's, and depends which one I start with, kind of what songs play. So I know, I can't ever play that King one because then it always just plays like Christian contemporary artists, and I want worship,
Oh yeah.
or at least a mixture. Anyways, whatever. What are we talking about? So, the difference between why does God manifest his presence to some and not others? It's not God, it's us that's choosing. Those of us who do choose, we differ from the average person in that we feel the inward longing and we do something about it. Oh, when thou said, seek ye my face, my heart said unto thee, thy face, Lord, I will seek. This is, again, David. This is Psalm 27:8. I liked how it was worded in the Amplified, so I put that on there. When you said, seek my face in prayer, when you seek my face, require my presence as your greatest need. My heart said to you, your face, O Lord, I will seek on the authority of your word. So I had to think about this for a minute. When you said, seek my face, when you said, require my presence as your greatest need, when you require his presence as your greatest need, wow, that's pretty. So I have a lot of needs right now. Like, I'm a single mom, and I'm old, and I have health stuff, and I have a lot of needs right now. So I'm always like, I need that guy to come through for this guy, you gotta come through for this, gotta come through for this, but this is saying, seek his face, require his presence as your greatest need. You need that more than anything in the world. Mm-hmm. This is when it started getting real for me today. And it says, seek ye my face. And again, remember in the other verse, presence meant face. Mm-hmm. In this verse, face also means presence. So they're literally interchangeable. Mm-hmm. Then the other thing is, of course, remember we learned in the other class, a lot of times heart means soul, and sure enough it does in this verse. So listen to it. Seek ye my presence. My soul said to thee, thy presence, Lord, I will seek. Even if you keep face, because we now know they're kind of interchangeable. Seek ye my face. My soul said unto thee, thy face, Lord, I will seek. So if your soul is exalted, it's not going to seek God. And if you have strongholds bogging it down, it's going to have a hard time seeking God. It will, but it'll have a hard time. Mm-hmm. So just more of a good reason to keep abiding. And if you aren't already, you better get busy on it. I'm thinking Noah maybe isn't abiding yet.
I know.
This is what happens, Noah, people take the class, they get all pumped up about it, and then they never put it in deed.
I know.
You don't have a problem with these two, so I can't even get you started with those. Well, you might have rejection, but I mean, it's not raging.
What's
You don't
the-
have codependency, I don't think. So
Oh,
yeah, I
you
can't
can.
help you, dude.
I don't think Brett has
I
either
can
of
help you if you tell me one to look up, and I'll look it up for you and put it all nice and tidy for you. All you gotta do is read it every day.
those. I didn't even show him that, but I do have it at home. Is that the
Yeah,
thing you
said
gave me
were
last
gonna
week?
give it to his mom. I made this for someone else, and I've actually already handed out quite a few of them. But I literally, the verse I found, put the verse, made the statement, so you literally just read the bold every day. It's all done for you. You don't have to do none of the research. I even included little word studies for you.
Alright.
All you gotta do is tell me,
Yeah.
I can do it for you.
Alright.
I'll at least do the first one, maybe a second one, because after that you might start to get hang of it, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Unless it's someone who can't, like, they don't have the, you know, not everybody's.
Critical thinking.
Some people need some
That
help.
it's just, like my son Noah's autistic, he would never be able to do.
Yeah.
He'll be able to figure it
You
out
have
on his
something,
own.
Noah?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I don't know. I don't know if he's ever been here. Has he?
He has a couple times.
Has he? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I think he probably really only knows who
He
Samuel
doesn't
is.
hardly ever leave his house except for work because he's so,
Yeah.
like, we have a hard time getting him to come to holidays.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, because he likes to just play video games.
She has a son named Gideon too.
I think I've met Gideon.
Oh, okay.
And I've met Sam. Obviously, I've met Sam. I think I've met Gideon a couple times.
Gideon has long hair. May not have been as long before, but
Do we know another Gideon?
No.
Okay.
Mhm.
That name sounds like I don't think I've ever met another Gideon before. Like it has to be the same one, but I don't remember from when I knew that person. Was he ever into cars at all? No. I don't know. I feel like there was like maybe a group of friends at one time I was hanging out with that he was in the same group.
maybe.
He's young. He's a lot younger
Yeah,
than you. He's younger than
Tina's age.
Samuel.
He's Tina's age. Him and Tina are the same age.
Oh, maybe not then. Maybe there's another.
Samuel and
Gideon I
Sean
know.
are the same age. Noah and Nathan are the same age.
Okay. Yeah.
And are you 92?
Yep.
Her and Chelsea are the same age.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So you were right there along with everybody
I
else.
was pregnant, breastfeeding along with everybody else in our church, Noah.
Yeah.
Right?
And, yeah.
All right, guys. So
Yeah,
this week, next week, yep,
yeah.
plan that one.
I'll make sure this week, I'll make sure next week, I'll make sure next week, I'll make sure next week.
Jeez.
Nobody has to lay by anybody any gifts. Probably, you know, if we had social media back then, you'd probably be seeing all our kids in all the same outfits because we done passed them around and
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah.
We get maternity clothes too.
Just pass it around.
Yeah. Yep.
That's awesome.
Yep.
That's funny.
Yep. I was much smaller back then and they all got really big when they were pregnant. So it worked out. Anyways. Okay, so God invited David to seek him, yet there was a sense in which David felt that God was hiding from him. Do not hide your face from me. David didn't become angry with God or turn against him. In his disappointment, he sought God all the more diligently and desperately. Do not leave me or forsake me. In the Dake's Bible, it said, this is what God has demanded of men from the beginning of his written revelation. The heart must say this before God will hear. So our heart, our soul, has to say, we will seek his face. We will seek his presence. Any other ideas or questions? I said page 67 and 68 because it seemed like there wasn't a whole lot. So it will require I feel like I missed a whole thing I was going to read. Where did it go?
I
Did
think
you
you
guys
they read
see
everything.
somewhere where it said read a paragraph? Cause I was supposed to read 2 different paragraphs in this one. It was page 65.
I don't know.
Yeah, here, I
Nice.
skipped right past it. It'd be point 13, 14, or 15, whichever one it is on yours. Cause this was the important part that I wanted to read.
Oh, I see. Or I see. Read paragraph at the top of
65, and I missed it. What do you have to do?
Sorry, that's one of my strongholds.
What is?
Always worried about the kids.
Oh.
Okay, so the paragraph at top 65, so this helps, I'm like, where did I miss this? So like after we were talking about Moses and the Shekinah glory, and it was saying when we sing or say, draw me nearer, O God, we're not thinking the nearness of place, but the nearness of relationship. So this was the paragraph that I thought really explained this really well on the top of page 65. To speak of being near or far from God is to use language in a sense always understood when applied to our ordinary human relationships. So this is why it's kind of hard to understand, but if you think of it as much as we can, compare it to a human relationship. A man may say, I feel like my son is coming nearer to me as he gets older. So like your dad could say, I feel like Noah's getting closer to me as he gets older. Yet the son has always lived by his father's side since he was born and has never been away from home for more than a day or so in his entire life. So like you've always lived in the area. So what could the father mean? Obviously, he's speaking of experience. He means that the boy is coming to know him more intimately and with deeper understanding, that the barriers of thought and feeling between the two are disappearing, that father and son are becoming more closely united in mind and heart. So you see how that explains, has nothing to do with distance. It has to do with your understanding of each other. And remember like what we talked about, our understanding of God in the last class, like the knowledge that would set us free. Think about that, like the more we get of the truth, the more we get of that knowledge that sets us free, that understanding of God, the more we understand his character, then the closer we are to God, but not in distance in our heart. Okay, so I'm sorry I missed that and skipped over that. But I knew, because I was like, I knew there was more than one paragraph I was going to read, because I didn't want to type these whole paragraphs this time. Okay, so pages 67 and 68, it will require a determined heart, soul, more than a little courage to wrench ourselves loose from the grip of our times and return to biblical ways, but it can be done. What God in his sovereignty may yet do on a world scale, I do not claim to know. But what he will do for the plain man or woman who seeks his face, I believe I know and can tell others. And so then he goes on to say that anybody who exercises himself to godliness and seeks to develop this manifestation of God's presence is going to get it. And then at the top of page 69, he says, any man who by repentance and a sincere return to God will break himself out of the mold in which he has been held and will go to the Bible itself for his spiritual standards, he will be delighted in what he finds there. So that's abiding. Like if you're going to the Word, like people I've done this for, they're like, oh, thank you, you didn't have to do that, that's so much, or Pastor Lowe would say, that's just so much, that's too much. No, it's really not too much because it's not hurting me to get in the Word. It's literally helping me. It's just more like us getting in my soul and dealing with stuff. And hey, maybe I still have a little problem here, so I need this or that. You know what I'm saying? So anyone who goes into the Word to find out how to get closer to God is not going to be sorry. They're never going to be let down. And so I want to read this paragraph then on page 69. Let us say it again. The universal presence is a fact. God is here. The whole universe is alive with his life. He is no strange or foreign God, but the familiar Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, whose love has for these thousands of years enfolded the simple race of men. And always he is trying to get our attention, to reveal himself to us, to communicate with us. We have within us the ability to know him if we will but respond to his overtures. And this is what we call pursuing God. We will know him in increasing degree as our receptivity becomes more perfect by faith and love and practice. You guys wanna read this together?
Yep.
O God and Father, I repent of my sinful preoccupation with visible things. The world has been too much with me. Thou hast been here and I knew it not. I have been blind to thy presence. Open my eyes that I may behold thee in and around me for Christ's sake. Amen. Yeah, does it make more sense now, Kayla?
Yeah, it does.
It's sometimes the way he
It's the wording